Hey, how are you doing? It's Alan here from Look for Warriors, and I'm listening to John Taylor Gatto right now. And he's talking about what's taught in elite private schools that are not being taught to your kids. And he said one thing. He said one thing, and I was like, boom. A complete theory of access. Access. What does that mean? What does that mean? A complete theory of access is taught. What the hell does that mean? I remember I was listening to Steve Jobs and he was talking about when he was 12 years old. Now, at 12 years old, I was playing soldiers on my landing. Had a big fort and all. But at 12 years old, Steve Jobs was picking up the phone and he was calling the head of Hewlett Packard to talk to him at 12 years old. Elite private schools teach a complete theory of access. How do you talk to someone in a corporation? How do you talk to a decision maker? How do you talk to someone who is a politician? How do you talk to the President of Ireland? The President of Ireland is the same as the President of America, by the way. How do you talk to an assistant? How do you get in contact? How do you get an idea to them? A complete theory of access. Now that's more complex. I'm going to suggest that's more complex now than it was in John Taylor Gatto's day. A little bit. Because we have what's called gatekeepers who are there to keep salespeople away. But I'm also going to suggest when Steve Jobs tells that story of calling the head of Hewlett Packard, I think his name was something Packard, I don't know. He called the head of Hewlett Packard. And I'm just telling this from memory, but he wanted these frequency, I think they're called frequency converters, because he was into these kind of radio frequencies and stuff and building these frequency converters. And the head of Hewlett Packard was so impressed that his 12-year-old called him. So impressed. And I just think about that for myself. And if I was sitting there and I was running that company and I was busy and in meetings and I didn't have a second and I picked up the phone, there's a 12-year-old there, I would stop everything I'm doing. Stop everything. Because this is different. It's a 12-year-old calling me. This is a really clever kid. He knows about frequency counters, I think they're called. He knows about frequency counters. He's excited about building frequency counters. I would stop everything I was doing. And I'd put time aside and I would talk to that kid. And I would, just as he did, tell him to come in and give him a summer job. Working with them. Because who of us doesn't want to encourage that? Doesn't want to encourage this intelligence, I'm going to just say it. I'm going to just say this amount of balls that he would do that. Who doesn't want to encourage that? Who of us, what do we want? Do we want this kind of kid who'll phone the head of Hewlett Packard? Or do we want these kids stabbing each other on the street? Like, what's better for the world? And that's real courage. That's real courage. Picking up the phone. These kids who think they have courage because they're stabbing each other. Ask one of them to pick up the phone and call the head of Hewlett Packard. We'll see how brave they are. It's incredible. It's incredible. So, that's real courage. That's real courage. So, John Taylor Gatto says, elite schools teach a complete theory of access. Complete theory of access. Now, I want to tell you a quick story about John Taylor Gatto. Just from memory again. You can check it. It's in one of his books. But he talks about this young black kid in America, in New York. And I don't know if any of this is true, but this is a story. He went to a pizza parlor. Now, I don't think the issue was that he was black. I think the issue was that there was just a lot of young kids coming into the pizza parlor. And they got thrown out because it was kind of like a middle-class pizza parlor. There was a lot of kids in it. But he wouldn't serve them the pizza. And the young kid was really upset. He was talking to John Taylor Gatto and he's like, well, he threw me out because I was black. And I can understand that. I can understand it with all the propaganda and everything. You think, this guy just threw me out because he was black. This wasn't that long ago. John Taylor Gatto was not long dead. And the feeling of just giving up, hopelessness, that I imagine that kid had at that time. Complete hopelessness. This is the America I'm in. Whether it's true or not, I'm not getting into that, but that's certainly the feeling he would have had at that moment. And John Taylor Gatto said, okay. And I think John Taylor Gatto said, okay, this is what we're going to do. He wanted to show the kid what power he had inside him. He wanted to show the kid what power he had inside him. He couldn't do it for him. He couldn't do it for him. We wanted to show him what power he had inside him. So he said to the kid, listen, this is what we're going to do. You're going to go back to that pizza parlor and you're going to say to the owner, you're going to ask for the owner. You're going to say to him, listen, you threw me out, but everyone deserves a second chance. So I'm going to give you a chance to give me a free pizza today as an apology. So the kid, I said, okay, he'll go back. And he went back in and he said exactly what John Taylor Gatto told him to say to the owner. And the owner threw him out again. So he said, okay. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to call the owner. And you're going to say, he's made a few mistakes, but everyone deserves a couple of chances. So you're going to give him a chance to apologize and invite you back into the pizza parlor. And I'll be on the other line, listening. So he did that too. He picked up the phone and he called. And the owner of the pizza parlor hung up on him. And then John Taylor Gatto said, okay, you've given him plenty of chances. You've given him plenty of chances to change his ways. But he's still not talking to you. But now you've shown that you're a very reasonable person. You've given him a number of different chances. And I heard you, I'm a witness, and that you phoned and you were very polite. And you told him that you would like to give him another chance. And he hung up on you. And now it's time we can go to the court. You have a witness and you have a whole process you went through. You didn't get angry. You didn't hurt anybody. But you did a whole process, and now we can go to court and we can take this guy to court. And the story goes that that kid became a lawyer. He became a solicitor. Didn't give in to the anger, but constructed it in a very specific way and became a lawyer. And now he helps other kids and other difficult cases and defends them. That was amazing good that happened in the world, because he was willing to go and talk to that guy. Complete theory of access. John Taylor Gatto says that elite private schools teach you a complete theory of access. How do you talk to Hewlett Packard? How do you talk politely to someone? How do you give someone lots of chances? How do you be very, very reasonable? How do you but defend yourself at the right times? Complete theory of access. So I'm listening to John Taylor Gatto saying this, and I'm like, wow, absolute mind blown. Absolute mind blown. I'm like, right, this is complete theory of access. This is so important. It's actually so important that I'm thinking I've got to spend the next 6 months just working on how to teach a complete theory of access. It's everything. It's absolutely everything. Wow, John Taylor Gatto. So it's been Alan here from Looking for Warriors. Do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. Learn more about complete theory of access. How do we set up a complete theory of access? Subscribe to Looking for Warriors.